Closing costs for buyers can really add up, and if you're not expecting them, they can certainly be much higher than you thought. In today's video, we're going to discuss what closing costs are for buyers and how much they might cost you. But first, let's roll the intro. Hi everyone, Josh here, and before we start, I just want to remind you to hit that subscribe button and turn on the post notifications so that I can continue to make more content like this in the future. Many buyers are so concerned with the monthly mortgage payments and interest rates that they will oftentimes not even consider the closing costs for a property, and they are shocked once they get to the signing. That's why in today's video, I'm going to explain to you exactly what closing costs you can expect when purchasing real estate and how you can budget accordingly for your next purchase. Throughout this video, in our examples, let's assume you are purchasing a $500,000 property in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, as this is where I currently work as a real estate broker, and I will be able to provide you with the most accurate numbers this way. The first expense that we are going to discuss today is the home inspection fee. Mostly all offers will include a home inspection condition, and this allows you to inspect the property prior to purchase to confirm that there are no major defects or repairs needed on the property. Typically, you can expect a professional home inspector to charge between $500 to $800 for their services, depending on the size and complexity of the property. If you are dealing with a smaller condo, obviously this cost will be at the lower end, and if you're inspecting a larger home, then this cost will likely be at the higher end. The cost for the home inspection will be paid directly to the home inspector you hire. Next closing cost you may have to consider is the mortgage default insurance. If your down payment is less than 20%, your lender will require you to have mortgage default insurance. In other words, any down payment between 5 and 20% will require this insurance. The amount is usually added to the mortgage. However, it may also be paid in full upon closing. In Quebec, a 9.975% tax for the mortgage default insurance will also be required to be paid in full at closing. If we take, for example, a home that costs $500,000 in Montreal and you're putting a 10% down payment, then the mortgage default insurance that would be added to your mortgage would be $13,950, and also an amount of $1,391 in taxes for this insurance would be paid in full at the closing of your purchase. Another closing cost we must consider are notary fees or legal fees when finalizing the transaction between the two parties. Here in Quebec, a notary is required to finalize all real estate transactions. A typical fee for a notary will be between $1,300 and $1,800, depending on the notary office and complexity of the file. You must also consider that when purchasing a new property, there will be notary adjustments. These adjustments usually include taxes and sometimes condo fees if there are any. These costs can drastically vary depending on your month and day of closing and when the seller last paid their taxes or condo fees. The notary will do these adjustments on your behalf. Since these costs do vary, it is hard to estimate, but for a $500,000 property, it could cost anywhere between a couple $100 to a couple thousand. Another larger expense that many are not fully aware of when purchasing in Quebec is the land transfer tax, otherwise known as the welcome tax. This is calculated as a percentage of your home's purchase price and has a marginal tax rate ranging between 0.5% to 1.5%. Each portion of your home's value is taxed at its own unique marginal tax rate. To give you an idea, purchasing a $500,000 home in Montreal would mean that you would have to pay $6,000 in land transfer taxes. You will usually receive this welcome tax bill to your new home within 1 to 2 months after closing. Finally, some notable expenses to also consider are moving expenses and home insurance. By moving yourself, you can certainly save yourself some money. However, if you were to hire movers, you can estimate about $2,000. This is obviously a rough estimate since all moves are different. Home insurance will also vary depending on property type, so it's best to shop around for different rates and options to get the best price. What I usually recommend as a good rule of thumb when estimating closing costs is that you should budget approximately 2 to 3% of the total purchase price to cover the costs. So on a home that costs $500,000, this would mean you should budget between $10,000 and $15,000 for the closing costs. Of course, this is just an estimate and the actual amount could be higher or lower depending on many factors. However, it does give you a good idea of what to expect. Hopefully you were able to learn more about closing costs in this video. If you made it this far, I want you to let me know below in the comments any questions you have about buying real estate and what closing costs you may have had in the past that I didn't mention in this video. Drop a comment below and let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications for more content like this, and I'll catch you next time.